In this video, I still won't focus on drawing with the pen tool. I would like to make sure you understand all the options we have here in the control bar. So first of all, whenever you select the pen tool, by the way, the keyboard shortcut for this tool is P, surprisingly. So whenever you have the pen tool selected, you can choose between several options. These are the drawing modes. We have shape, path, and pixels. We are going to focus on the first two because the pixels option is only available with shape drawing tools. We will talk about those later. So first of all, let me show you what happens if I draw a shape and what happens if I draw a path. You can also see that we have no fill color and we have a black stroke color selected with 1 point stroke size and a continuous line for the stroke. So let's just see what happens now. If I click, 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 and click, I created a triangle. We are going to talk more about drawing straight lines in the following tutorial. But for now, you can see that it's just created simply a shape layer. Because that's what it says, the mode itself, it's going to create a shape. The shape is a separate layer, and it can always be adjusted later on with different tools. But basically, it has properties like fill color, stroke color, and we can always change those later as well. So for example, if I select this one here, I can increase the stroke size. What happens if I go back to the pen tool and I switch to path mode? Let me draw another triangle with this tool. So I click, 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 and click, and I created another triangle, but this didn't do anything on the layers panel. And I can't see really any other colors apart from this little indication, this little thin line of this path. Now, there is a tool called the Path Selection tool, which is this black arrow. And with this one, I can select the path. Now I can see also the anchor points, and I know that this path is selected. Once I have selected it, I can go to the Path panel, and here I can see that there is a Shape 1 path. So the only area where this path is recorded is here in the paths panel. It's not actually on a layer at the moment. We can use this for many different things. So a path without colors is also very useful. It can be used for selections and also many other things in Photoshop. But for now, this is enough to remember that we have these two modes. One of them is used mainly for drawing. The other one is mainly for making selections and masking. But we will talk about this later on. Let me switch back to the pen tool. And I am going to switch to the shape mode again, because here we have more options. Whenever you are in shape mode, you can choose a color for the fill color and the stroke color, the size of the stroke, and also the style of the stroke. So we have this already selected, this one here on the left. And we can make the stroke size again smaller and then check what happens if we switch to like dashed line or dotted line, and we can change the stroke itself. We can always choose a fill color as well. Let me just choose a blue fill color. And we can also change other attributes of the stroke. If we click here on the dashed line or the line option itself, here we can choose where to align this stroke. We can align the stroke inside, and let me just zoom a little bit closer so we can see exactly what happens. So I can align it inside of the shape itself or on the center line, or I can align it outside of the shape itself. If I switch back to the continuous line, I can also play around with the corners option. Because this is a closed path, I can select to have a sharp corner or a rounded corner, which in this case is not visible. We need to switch to the align outside option, because then we can see the corners. So that was the sharp corner. This is the rounded corner. And then we have this one. If you want to see more options, you can always click on more options. And then in this dialog box, you can create your own templates and you can even save them. So for example, we can turn on dash line, and we can customize this dash line. So we can have 4 for dash, 2 for gap, then let's say 10 for dash and 1 for gap. So we have a very special custom dash line now, and we can save this. So I can click on save, and then we will be able to select this from the options next time. What we have options for the corners, we also have very similar options for the caps. So if we create a shape which is not closed, then we will be able to see how that works. So I'm going to use the pen tool again, like this. And I'm going to go to the options, choose a continuous line for this, and I'm going to choose a different cap. So I am going to choose the rounded cap, and you can see it there. If I make the stroke size bigger, it will be easier to see it. So that's the rounded cap, and then we can change it also to square. So there's a square which ends exactly where the anchor point is, and there's the other one which ends or it goes around or wraps around the anchor point. It's easier to see it probably if I have it aligned to the center. So we have the caps options and the corners, which just basically stylize the end or the corner points of a path. The align decides where the path will be next to the shape, or around, inside, or on the center line. And then we have more options to create dash lines, which is under the more options dialog box. There are other options as well. If we go further with the pen tool, we will see the size of the path, and we can also change how to combine or create new paths, or shapes in this case. We can combine them, subtract them, intersect, exclude, and merge shapes, but we will talk more about this in another video. First of all, what I would like to mention in this video, the last option which we will need, is under this little configuration area here, where we can add this additional feature called rubber band, which will help you a lot in using the pen tool. So I highly recommend to turn this on, and that means whenever you are going to draw, you will see what you are going to draw with the pen tool, really. So it will give you like a little guideline, and then when you click, you already know what's going to happen. So from this point to this, that will be a straight line. And if I click and drag, then I create a curve, and then next time again I will see what my next curve will look like. So if this looks a little bit confusing, I am going to talk about this in more details. For now, just remember that you have this option here called rubber band. You can turn it off or you can turn it on, and that will give you this indication or just a hint of what's going to happen next, what's your next curve will look like. So that's all about the controls and options of the pen tool. And now in the next video, we can start actually learning to draw with the pen tool. First, just to draw straight lines.